What if I told you the oldest pyramid in the world isn't in Egypt? I know, right? What if a discovery that promised to completely rewrite human history ended up sparking one of the biggest scientific controversies in years? Well, today we are going on a hunt for the world's very first pyramid, and it's a journey that's going to take us from the sands of Egypt all the way to a mysterious green mountain in Indonesia. For pretty much as long as any of us can remember, this has been the answer. The incredible Step Pyramid of Djoser in Saqqara, Egypt. I mean, look at it. It was built way back around 2630 BCE by the genius architect Imhotep. And it's always been seen as the OG, the one that started the whole pyramid building craze. A true masterpiece. Or is it this? Now, this is Gunung Padang in Indonesia. At first glance, it just looks like a hill, right? Covered in trees, some old stone terraces. But a few years ago, a team of scientists made a claim so huge, so absolutely radical, it threatened to turn everything we thought we knew about our ancient ancestors completely upside down. So this site is called Gunung Padang. In the local language, that means Mountain of Enlightenment, which is kind of fitting, you'll see. For centuries, people have known it's a sacred place, a huge megalithic site with these cool terraces built from columns of volcanic rock. Locals call this kind of structure a punden bruindak. But then, in 2023, a scientific paper dropped a bombshell. The researchers proposed something that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. They claimed this isn't a natural hill with some stones on top. No. They said the entire hill is a massive, complex, multi-layered pyramid built by some long-lost ancient civilization. Okay, so the big question is, how on earth could they possibly know what's buried deep inside this thing without, digging the whole mountain up? Well, they used some seriously cool high-tech tools to basically give the mountain a full-body CT scan. The team took a three-step approach. First, they used geophysical surveys, things like ground-penetrating radar and seismic tomography, which blasts sound waves into the ground to map what's hidden. Then, they dug a few targeted trenches to get their own eyes on what was down there. And finally, they drilled these long cores, pulling up cylinders of earth and rock from deep inside the structure. And what they said they found wasn't just dirt. It was 4 distinct man-made units. Unit 1 is the terraces you can see. But below that, they found Unit 2, made of more carefully arranged, almost brick-like rocks. Deeper still was Unit 3, an even older construction. And at the very core, Unit 4, they believed was a natural volcanic hill that had been carefully sculpted into shape. So their jaw-dropping conclusion was that this wasn't built in one go. They believed it was a continuous project. An ancient civilization first carved the hill, and then over thousands and thousands of years, new generations came and encased it in bigger, better layers. But the most shocking part of their claim wasn't what they found, it was how old they said it was. And this is where the story goes from just interesting to potentially world-changing. To figure out the age, the researchers used carbon dating on bits of organic soil that had gotten trapped between the layers of rock. And the dates they got back were just staggering. The top layers, a few thousand years old, sure. But the deeper they went, the older the dates got, and I mean way older. Get this, the oldest parts of Gunung Padang were dated as far back as 27,000 years ago. Let that sink in for a second. That's deep in the last ice age. That is over 20,000 years older than the Pyramid of Djoser, and thousands of years older than Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, which right now is our oldest known large-scale monument. Let's be really clear here. If this was true, it would rewrite everything. It would mean that an advanced civilization capable of massive construction projects existed during the Ice Age, long before we thought complex societies even began to form with the invention of agriculture. A total game changer. Pretty amazing story, huh? The oldest pyramid in the world, hidden inside a mountain, built by a lost Ice Age civilization. So, case closed? Haha, not even close. You know the saying, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and the rest of the scientific community immediately started raising some serious red flags. Other archaeologists and geologists were super skeptical. They argued that these so-called man-made layers could just be, nature. They said the stones could have just weathered, broken off, and slid down the hill over millennia, arranging themselves in layers that look artificial but really aren't. The debate got so intense, so fierce, that the journal that first published this incredible study had to launch an investigation into its own paper. And then they did something that is incredibly rare in the world of science. They retracted it. In March of 2024, the publisher announced they were pulling the article. They said they found a huge flaw. The carbon dating proved how old the soil was, but it didn't prove that humans put the soil there. The evidence just couldn't back up the incredible conclusion that this was an ancient, man-made pyramid. A retraction is a really powerful thing. It's basically science's way of hitting the undo button, of correcting itself. It means the paper's conclusions are now considered unreliable and it's wiped from the official scientific record. It doesn't mean the researchers were being dishonest, just that their conclusions went way beyond what the evidence could actually support. So, with Gunung Padang's wild claim officially off the table, where does that leave our hunt for the world's oldest pyramid? Who's the champion now? Well, the title is back to being a toss-up between two ancient heavyweights. We've got the Pyramid of Djoser in Egypt from about 2630 BCE, and at almost the exact same time, on the complete other side of the world, we have the pyramids of the ancient city of Caral in Peru, built as early as 2700 BCE. Right now, it is way too close to call a clear winner. And this whole thing brings us to a really important takeaway. Our understanding of the past is never finished. In fact, just this year, a brand new theory came out about Djoser's pyramid, the one we thought we knew so well. Some researchers now think the builders might have used a sophisticated hydraulic lift system, using water pressure to help hoist those massive stone blocks up. How cool is that? In the end, the story of Gunung Padang isn't a failure at all. It's actually a perfect example of science in action. It's messy, it's passionate, but ultimately it's self-correcting. A huge, radical idea was proposed, it was tested and debated, and in the end, the evidence just wasn't strong enough. And that is exactly how we get closer to the truth. So, the idea of an Ice Age pyramid hiding in an Indonesian mountain might have been retracted, but the whole saga leaves us with a really tantalizing question. It forces us to wonder what other incredible secrets about our deepest, most ancient past are still out there, buried under some unassuming hill, just waiting for the right tools and the right questions to finally bring them to light.